Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to City Chatter, the episode 3. I'm John Bernstrom, Public Information Officer for the City of Grand Forks, and we are episode 3 of City Chatter here, a podcast by the City of Grand Forks. Really talks about everything from a city council standpoint, what went on at a meeting, and a chance to get to know our city council members. Joining us today, Ward 2 City Council member Rebecca Osowski. Rebecca, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I should mention, I never mentioned this to you, I'm a former Ward 2 resident.
Oh,
are
you?
The first home that my wife and I had where our kids were born was in Ward 2.
Where at?
9th Avenue North.
Oh, I live on 10th.
Yeah, 9th Avenue North, right there off of 20th. My kid,
Yeah.
my son still talks about that house. It had a laundry chute. So that was the best part of the house. That was the best part of the
I
house.
have a laundry chute also. I really like that.
That must have been a thing when they built the houses up there. It was great when we had little kids and
Right.
just straight down the laundry chute.
Right into the laundry room.
That's right.
So.
Okay, well, let's get into it a little bit. We've had conversations. I've been emails back and forth. You're a city council member now for almost exactly 1 year.
Yeah, I think a little bit over a year, right?
Uh,
Or
you-
has it been about a year?
A year and a week, maybe. I got to say this. How has it gone?
It's been interesting,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least. I've learned a lot. I think it's going okay. You know, it keeps me busy.
Oh, yeah, it definitely would keep you busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Sucks up a lot of my time, but that's all right. It's okay.
I'm going to ask you this question, and I've asked other council members this
Mm-hmm.
question before too. You run, you get elected. I totally get it. When I started working there, just like I had expectations, then I'm there for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong in this expectation. Has it been what you expected, or some things been different?
To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect. I honestly didn't follow much for local politics
Okay.
before. I'm going to say this, and I've never really told anybody this, but the very first council meeting that I ever went to or ever watched was a week before I got sworn in. Other than that, I didn't pay any attention.
Okay. And that's okay. Sometimes
Right,
that's
right.
maybe not the worst thing too, right? To not have a preconception.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any expectations. I won, which was a little bit unexpected, to be honest with you. Like, I wasn't really expecting to win. And then I was like, okay, now what? And so, I mean, I haven't been disappointed. It is what it is. And it's been a journey.
Yes. and you're just getting started. You're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm 1 year in now, so.
Okay. So I asked this. I want to ask this question then. What drove you to run for council? I don't think there's a wrong answer to this.
Right. What really made me run was the fact that no one was going to run against the other guy.
Okay.
You know, and that bothered me. I really believe in competition. I believe, that we should have some choice when it comes to our government, whether it be local or national. I personally didn't really align with his political views.
Sure.
And I just said, what the hell?
There
I
you go.
went for it. And I hate to, I don't want to speak poorly of him, but he was young. He just graduated from UND. He wasn't from Grand Forks. And to allow him to just walk onto our city council without putting a choice out there, it really bothered me. And I feel like that's how we get into a lot of the situations, the political situations, and the unhappiness that we have with our political leaders is, sometimes there just isn't choice, or people don't want to put themselves out there. I took a big leap. I really am a homebody. I don't do too much. But I do really believe in, just taking a stand and standing up for what you believe in. And like I said, I didn't agree with, a lot of his political views, and I couldn't just sit back, let that happen, and then complain about it. That's not the right thing to do. And so I just put myself out there. And so I didn't really expect to win, to be honest with you, but I just thought, well, at least then people have a choice. And then I won, and so here I am.
Now you're on a podcast.
I guess.
Way to go. Hey, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
very much appreciate people who, I mean, you put your money where your mouth was. Like you said, if
Right.
you were to stay home and complain, I say that about voting too. You have an election, right? And somebody wins an election, and then somebody's, griping about what that person's doing. And just like, oh, you voted for well, I didn't vote.
Well, then you have no
Right.
place to complain,
Yeah.
and, especially with some of the interactions that I've had with the citizens since I've been on the council, they complain sometimes about, what they think is corruption
Sure.
or things like that. And I'm like, well, like I stood up, I put myself out there, and I took over the seat. And I think that we all need to do that. We all need to fight for the things that we believe in, and stay true to ourselves and just try to do the right thing. But you can't just sit back and complain and be like, there's all this corruption and so's on this committee and so's on that committee. It's like, yeah, but are you going out there and trying to get on that committee?
Sure.
And so I really think that people, if you want change, you have to do something about it.
No, good point there. I think there's. I mean, you're on a large board, if you will. You had to get
Right,
elected,
right.
But I've served on church council. When my kids were in daycare, they had a board of directors for the daycare. I've served on that. I think there's a benefit to that.
Right.
Yes. Do you agree with everything that even at, let's say, a church level, right?
Right.
Do you agree with everything? No, but at least I understand how the sausage is made.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, I understand there's compromise, and I'm
Of course.
not going to get everything I want, or, I'm going to be outvoted sometimes. I mean, I'm okay with that, but at least, I feel that I stood up for what I believe.
Sure. No. Speaking of the city council, I feel bad for you guys as newly elected council members because you get elected, you get sworn in, and then you get filled with the entire budget, which, if you've seen the budget book, is about this thick.
I have mine from last year, but I...
So I'm going to ask you, that's what happened to you last year, and I feel bad for you on that.
Right, they're
I feel-
like, here are these binders.
That's right. You need to know what an enterprise fund is and all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
So I feel bad for all new councilmen. You're now in year 2 of the budget process. Is it in that process kind of going on? You had a presentation yesterday,
Right.
really high level. You're going to be presented the budget here, I believe, in a week or 2 weeks or
Jul-
something, like end of July. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you
I
guys
think
vote on
that's
it in
what they
August.
said, yeah.
Second time around, was that presentation yesterday a little bit easier?
Yes, I understand a little bit more. I don't just sit there, like looking at the screen. It was a lot to take in. I'm still learning,
Yeah.
when you get all those binders thrown at you, the first day when you show up, it's a little overwhelming, but, slowly but surely I'm trying to educate myself and, do the best I can to understand that.
I've worked for the city for almost 17 years. I can understand my budget. Don't ask me about what the sanitation's doing.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I know 2 pages of that book.
You know your budget.
I know my budget. That's about it. In Ward 2, I brought up, I used to live in Ward 2 when I first owned a home here. That is the ward. That is when people run or get elected from Ward 2, I like to say that's a complicated ward. I mean it.
It
I mean
is,
it this.
it is.
I mean it this way. You have residents that live in that ward that have lived there their entire lives.
Right.
You have residents in that ward that are renters, a high number of renters, high amount of turnover within those rentals, with it being, and then your proximity to the university.
Right.
There's a lot to balance in that ward.
There really is. There really is. I struggle a little bit with, kind of the rental situation.
Sure,
in
and that's a
Ward
hard
2.
one. Yeah.
Right, because I do support these people that are trying to make a living and flip houses and, rent them out. But I also, because I live in Ward 2 and I live next
Yeah, you're
to
a
some of
resident
them,
there.
I'm
Yeah.
a resident. I mean, some of those properties just aren't well maintained, and some of the renters don't really care about the neighborhood. I know that I have trash all over my alley.
Sure.
Where they just throw it out, don't really care. They don't care to pick
Just
it up.
moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just moved. There's a big issue with parking down there. Mainly because what I feel is because of the rental situation, and sometimes they have more than enough people living in these homes.
Oh, sure.
And they
3-bedroom with 4 people.
right,
4 vehicles.
right,
Yeah, stuff
four
like that.
vehicles, and this winter there was a house on the corner near my home, and they didn't move their cars for the snow plows.
Oh.
They didn't shovel their streets. They didn't shovel their driveways. So they were all parking on the street. They weren't even trying to park off of the street. And, I think it can lead to safety concerns.
Of course.
I do not think a fire engine could fit down that road, So it is balancing, between even the political views of
Oh, sure. College students.
college students to the older generation. I mean, it's just such a wide range of people that live in Ward 2.
And I think Ward 2 is the widest of that range in the city.
I guess I never
think it
really
is.
thought about it, but now that you're kind of pointing it out, it really is, with the university being so close
Yep.
and stuff like that. And I don't know if there would be more rental homes in someone else's ward, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think so. Again, it's proximity to the campus. I
Right.
totally get it.
Right.
Speaking of Ward 2, Ward 2's from a city council standpoint has been in the news lately from a development standpoint.
Right.
A couple of them that are being discussed, no permits issued yet, but let's start it with the school district. The referendum passed. Valley Middle School. There's going to be a new middle school in Ward 2. I'm a big neighborhood school guy. I get that. I don't envy the school district on their budgeting things, but I get the neighborhood school. My kids can walk to school. I see the
Right.
benefit of that. Keeping the school in Ward 2, how important was that to you?
I was born and raised in Ward 2. So
Oh,
I grew up
okay.
in Ward 2 my entire life. I moved away, and then when I had children, I came back to Grand Forks, and I tried to enroll my children at West. And they told me, I had 3 girls, and they told me, well, 2 of your girls can go here, but we don't have a second grade. So you have to
Sure.
you have to send them, to a different school. And so I kind of really struggled with that, So that really bothered me that I couldn't even enroll my children at my neighborhood school.
Sure.
And then it was torn down. So I do support the new building for Valley Middle School.
Sure. Yeah.
And I do think that it will really help the ward maybe be more inviting to families. And yeah, like you said, to have your kids walk to and from school, because even, when I tried to put my kids at West, they wouldn't be able to walk to and from school because I'd have to have one over on the other side of
Right.
town just to go to a different, school to.
I totally agree with you. I reference I used to live in Ward 2. I don't live in Ward 2 anymore. Part of this is we outgrew the house. Kids do that, and their stuff does that.
Right? I have 3. I
Yeah.
understand how much stuff kids have.
But when we were looking at homes, it was when we found the home we're currently at. We're just like, our kids can walk to school from here.
Right.
And that was for us anyway as a family. That was a bit of a tipping point.
Right. Yeah, my kids can't walk to school even now, so.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. But
is.
I think it's exciting. The construction,
Right.
Whatever the school district does as far as here's the design and stuff like that. For those that maybe, I don't mean to be on a soapbox here, the school needed something done. I don't think the school could have stayed as it was.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know what that's like. They're going to build a new school, but the school is to a point where I'm friends with a couple of teachers that taught there. Something had to be done. Not sure. Were you a Valley?
I did.
You-
I went to West, Valley, and Central.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
There you go.
And I walked home from Valley.
There you go. I grew up on a farm in northern Minnesota, so I didn't go to school there. Also in Ward 2, we'll see what happens, but it's early discussions that parking lot by Old Memorial Stadium is potentially to be developed.
Are you talking about the softball field?
The softball field.
Memorial 2?
Memorial 2, yeah.
Yep.
Memorial 2. Memorial 1 is currently being built. That's
Right.
the old grandstands of Memorial Stadium. Memorial 2. There's a part of me, it put me in my spot if I'm wrong. Will that potentially help some of the home renter situation in Ward 2? Because you're pretty much adding apartments right on campus.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm kind of hoping so. I mean, these will be nicer apartments.
Sure.
And kids want to live in nice apartments.
I know. It's crazy what they live in now.
I hate to even say this, but they're not going to be dry like campus, and I think that's a big reason why these kids don't live on campus.
Sure.
Because they want to be able to party and do whatever, which is fine, as long as you do it safely. But so I'm hoping that maybe it would help out.
Yeah,
I guess I'm not really sure. I mean, how expensive are these apartments going to be? How many college students are even going to be able to afford to live here?
Sure.
And that's something that really concerns me. Maybe the rich ones, but that's a little concerning to me, though.
Yeah, and part of that is maybe we're getting too far down the road. Who knows what they're
Right.
I'm
not sure. I'm not sure. I hope that they're more affordable so that some of these college kids can move in there.
Sure.
I think that would be great. So.
And I don't know, is it something that we're speaking for the university, we're telling them how to do things, but is it worked out that can count as housing, so it goes into your tuition or something like that? I have no idea.
Right. I guess I'm not really sure how it works or anything like that, but it is what it is. I mean, the development is good. That parking lot is an eyesore. So, yeah, it'll be okay, I think.
That parking lot needed work when I went to school in 1998. And
Right.
none was done. So just to give everyone an idea, but that is exciting. Ward, you are a ward that is, you're in a developed part of town.
Right.
You don't have green space, for like housing development and stuff
Right.
like that. Not much.
Not much. I mean,
right.
a lot here and there.
Right. But to have something like this frankly, in the middle of your ward, yeah, I think there's potential for good things. Yes, there's details of parking and whatnot, but we'll work through that.
I know that there are concerns about parking, but they do have that parking ramp across the street, and I do hope that they utilize that. They're putting in underground parking also, aren't they? I thought so. I'm not sure.
Tell the truth, I haven't seen the design
Okay.
plans for it yet. I'm not sure if there's a final design yet.
Right.
I think we've seen concepts,
Yeah.
but
Hopefully that's not a concern. I'm really hoping it's not a concern. So because parking is a huge issue in Ward 2, and so I don't want to make it worse.
and I will say this: the sports guy in me, I'm a big sports fan. I work in sports a little bit. I think the softball field's a pretty cool thing.
It's not my favorite. I guess there's room for a softball field there, but what else is there room for if we have a building and
Sure.
parking, and how much parking is going to be available for when they even have events there? And, this is supposed to be like a joint venture between the university and the city and these, private developers. And yet, I still haven't seen any type of agreement between the university and park district or anybody else
as far as usage.
About the usage, and I think that really bothers me, because the university charges so much for tuition, like if they want a softball field, pony up the funds. That's a little bit kind of how I think, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out, I guess.
Like I said, this is sports fan John, sportscaster John.
Where are you even going to sit when you go watch sports there?
Oh, it's a grandstand part of it.
Tiny part. How many people is it going to hold?
Oh, you get a few hundred out there for softball. Right now, where UND plays softball, it's out at Apollo, and you sit on a bleacher.
Right. But I don't think Apollo is that bad. Why can't you just redo one of those fields? Why does UND need their own special field away from everybody else?
Sure. No, that's fine. That's fine.
But,
turf is important though. It's got to be turf, or else for all these spring sports,
Right, right.
it's not going to work. It's not going to
Right.
work, especially when we have springs like this past spring.
Right. And I heard, this past spring they were having issues with clearing off the softball fields. Was it the softball fields or the soccer fields that the school district didn't clear off, or they weren't able, or the park district? I'm not sure who it is, but
Well, that conversation I know the conversation you're talking about. That was. I don't want to say manufactured is the wrong term. Yes, there's a football field with turf on it. Okay. If you clear it off, and that's fine. But who then gets to use it?
well, who's going to get to use the softball field that?
Sure. No, but that's fair. That is fair.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because if UND wants to use it, then all of a sudden, everybody else is kicked to the back of the line.
Sure.
And that's not what I want. If this is going to be a community venture, I think this should be a community softball field.
Sure.
So that, and I don't think, I think we should all have equal rights to it then, and not just, UND trumps us. So.
Yeah. The model that's in place right now, and I just know this because of my kids' involvement in sports, is that Fritz Pollard, which is across the street, the indoor turf. That is, I think, in the spring is used every single day, including UND football. There's
Right.
youth football in there. They do soccer in there. The little kids' youth soccer this year didn't miss any games, even though it was a terrible spring, because
Oh,
they
okay.
played in there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They played in there. Now, they didn't have enough room for all of the youth soccer, so
Right.
my daughter had to wait. But that's okay. She got to hang with her friends later. That's fine. That's fine. We were talking about your wards. You have done this a couple of times, and I'm gonna say good job. You're a brave person, because they're not always easy, but they're difficult sometimes to get. You've had a couple of ward meetings where you've met with people in your ward. Those meetings, stuff like that. Those are tough. Those are difficult meetings to have. One, you're not sure who's going to show up. Are they in your ward? You may have an idea of what to talk about in that meeting, but the conversation could go completely over here. Or here's I've seen this a couple times, or nobody shows up. How have they gone for you? We don't need to get in great detail, but how have they gone for you?
I don't know if I'd necessarily call them ward meetings. They're more North End neighborhood meetings.
Sure.
Is,
Okay.
I guess,
That's
kind
fair.
of what we call them.
Sure.
You
Yep.
know?
Yeah, that neighborhood's organized.
Right.
Yep.
Right. They are. There's, I want to say there's 3 different groups, but they all communicate. I think there's 3.
Sure.
So, yeah, and they all communicate and they all get together. And so, I've met with them multiple times. So for the most part, I think it's pretty positive, they go okay.
And I do say that. I've like I said, I've been to some where the room is full, and you think the conversation is going to be X, and it ends up being Y.
Right.
I've been to them before where you're like, okay, this is a big topic. People want to do this. Not a single person shows up, or one person shows up and they just want to talk about a stop sign in front of their house and wonder if they can get that taken down or put in
Right.
or whatever. And then that's the end of the meeting. They've been all over the map. There are some people just like, we need more neighborhood meetings, ward meetings, whatever it is. I in my 17 years of doing this, I haven't found the silver bullet of what works the best. So if you have the answer to that, I'm all for it.
They kind of set them up and they invite me and I show up. I mean, it's easy. I communicate with them, other than just going to these meetings, but it's mainly the same people. So
I will say this, good job to that neighborhood. There's a couple other organized neighborhoods in the city of Grand Forks. I think that's the best way to get things done is the wrong term, but to not sit at home and complain about it. Right? Yeah.
Right. You have to get involved.
Right.
People have to get involved.
And that doesn't necessarily mean running for council like you did.
Right,
That could
right.
be, hey, let's have a neighborhood meeting and let's talk about speeding on the street.
Right.
Or you have the Phoenix Elementary talking about safety by the school. My kids don't go to school there, so I don't see that. They do.
Right.
They do. All right, so let's get it. I think that's good. All right, Rebecca, we've talked a lot about government and your job here. And we talked a little bit when you first came in, and I just found this out. I wasn't even sure what you you talked about going to work. I didn't know what your job was. Can you talk about what your day job is?
Sure. I normally try not to mix my political side and my
Political
professional side, but
political hats off.
Right. I work for LM Wind Power.
Oh, good.
I'm regional sales support. I have 3 plants: Canada, U.S., and Brazil, and so I just kind of juggle that all day. And yeah, I work from home, so I love that. You know, it allows me to do things like this. It allows me to care for my children, and as a single mom, that's really important.
Yes, good
And
for you.
so, yeah, I love my job. It's wonderful. So I really enjoy working there. I think I've worked there like 4 years now.
Okay.
So yeah,
4 going on 40 or 4 going on 2?
4 going on 2.
Okay.
It's been a good ride. It's an awesome job. I love it. My boss is great. I think LM Wind Power does great things. So
Good.
I hope that they have a bright future.
Well, as one of the largest employers in the city of Grand Forks, we as a city hope they have a bright future as well.
Right, yeah.
No, that's really good. Okay, this is not work related.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you to name a place.
Okay.
But we were talking about food. Do you have not so much, going out, you don't have to name the place. Just
Okay.
do you have a go-to dish? Do you sit there some days on a Friday and you're like, I just want this?
Well, of course.
Oh, you do?
Of course I do.
Oh, you came to that quick.
I'm a big foodie.
Yeah.
I have to go to the gym because I eat so much, so I
That's
have
okay.
to kind of balance it a little bit. I love food. I love going out to eat. Probably at every single restaurant in town, I have a go-to dish.
You do?
I do
Oh,
not
good for you.
stray too far from my go-to dish, because one time I did, and it was garbage.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do.
So I eat
Yep.
kind of the same, like every restaurant I go to, I know what I'm going to eat.
That's
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call myself a foodie. My wife is a foodie.
I'm a foodie.
My wife is a foodie, and there's sometimes and part of a meal experience isn't always the food.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's I'm not preparing the food and I'm not doing those dishes after.
Right? Well, my kids don't help out with chores too often, so if I make a meal at home and I have to sit with a messy kitchen,
No.
because I have to cook and then I have to clean it and
No, we
all
have-
this stuff. So
We have a list of chores at our house. This is
Oh,
our
I
rule.
should do that.
Our
I
rule
should
at
do
our
that.
house is if you are not involved in preparing the meal.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son and a daughter, and sometimes they help mom prepare the meal. Yeah, sometimes it's grilling, and I prepare the meal. That's all right. If you're not involved in preparing the meal, you have to help clean up.
That's fair. I should teach my kids that one, but they usually just go hide in their rooms.
I was gonna say you're the parent.
So they
That's called being voluntold.
right. Like I'm so busy with work,
Oh,
that,
sure.
that they just go hide in their rooms. And the next thing, then I'll get done with meetings at 11 o'clock and they're all
Oh.
sleeping in their
Yeah,
rooms.
that's
I'm
hard.
like, you guys got to get up and do something.
That's right. Anyway,
So it
now-
is what it is. It's a good life, though. I'm very thankful. Very
Yeah.
thankful.
I love talking food, so that's
Yeah.
talking food, and we'll get you talking sports.
oh,
No, that's all right. Rebecca, it's been a half an hour. We have no clock on these things whatsoever.
okay.
So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I know
Thank
that
you. It was okay. It went all right, I think.
That's right. So-
Not too intimidating.
No, we're gonna keep doing this. Good luck in the budget process.
Thank
you've
you.
you've got
Thank you.
you and the rest of the council. The term is, I've heard it before. Mayor hates this term. Drinking from a fire hose, but it really is. You guys get so much information at one time, and then the state comes up and says, and have it done by the state.
Well, this year I at least know how to read the binder. So
Yeah, and it's a big binder.
Right.
People, you think she's being funny. It's a big binder.
It's so big. It was so big. I want to say that I have probably 10 binders that I was given within the
Yep.
first month. It's here's a binder for this. Here's
Yeah.
a binder for that. I'm like,
You get financial
Oh,
review
my
stuff,
goodness,
audit stuff, and then, by the way, here's next year's budget. Don't screw it up.
and then here's your committee binders
Yep.
and all this stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been interesting, but
There we go. All right, Rebecca, 1 year down,
yep,
3 to go.
3 to go.
And we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Rebecca Osowski joined us here, episode 3. And if you have a chance to rewatch this podcast, you can go to grandforksgov.com/podcast, and you can see all of our past podcasts. So far, we've talked to Danny Weigel, Councilmember Brett Weber, and Councilwoman Rebecca Osowski. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.